Hi there, I'm Alex Plotnick, and this is Module 1 of the first ever GLOW online course. In Module 0, Faray and I gave a brief overview of GLOW and the course as a whole. In this module, we'll be installing and setting up the GLOW system so that we're ready to start learning the language in Module 2. So the best place to start with GLOW is glowlang.org, which is this webpage you see here. There you'll find the tutorial, reference material, FAQ, etc. Another important place to look for information about GLOW is our GitHub repository, and that's github.com/glow-lang/glow. And here's where you'll find our issues, pull requests, and so on. For this lecture in particular, we're going to look just at this install.md file, which has the installation instructions. So there are at least 3 ways of installing GLOW. We're going to concentrate on one of them mainly in this video, but we'll mention one of the others. So you can run our one-liner, which is what you see here, that uses curl, and that uses MuKn under the hood. You can also use our pre-built Docker image, and you see instructions for that here, and we'll go over that briefly. Or you can clone the repository and build it from scratch, and we're not going to cover that at all in this video. So the way our one-liner works is that it installs the MuKn package manager and then uses that to install pre-built and cached GLOW packages for MuKn. So I'm going to say just a few words about MuKn and why we use it, but in your day-to-day use of GLOW, it shouldn't really come up very often, and you shouldn't need to interact with MuKn directly. The main reason that we use MuKn is that it provides reproducible, verifiable packages. What that means is that if I build the GLOW package on my machine and you build it on your machine, the packages we end up with will be bit for bit identical. And if either of us were to change any bit of any source file, they no longer would be. If you've ever dealt with packaging, that may sound like magic and like it couldn't possibly be true, but it is. And that's of course why we use it. We believe that everyone who wants to should be able to audit GLOW source code, build it by hand, build packages and verify that they exactly match ours, and build their own packages customized to their needs. And MuKn helps us ensure that we're all talking about exactly the same version of GLOW, built using the exact same dependencies. That's all just background. The reason that I'm mentioning it is that you'll see some MuKn stuff as I go along, and I wanted it not to be some mysterious black box. Okay, here's our one-liner. Let's try it out. So as you can see, this uses the curl command to fetch a script at this URI and then pipes it to the shell for evaluation. Now, you probably have the curl command installed on your system, but if you don't, you might be able to install it with something like apt-get install curl or brew install curl or whatever is appropriate for your system. So here's the curl, and I'm going to run this on Debian Linux, but it should work exactly the same on any other Linux distribution or on macOS. And we're very curious to see if it works under Windows with WSL2 or on various flavors of BSD. So if you give that a try, let us know how it goes. All right, let's try it out. As you can see, it fetches that script very quickly and then fetches the MuKn installer, which downloads this compressed tarball of the MuKn package manager. And I'll just note that this tarball is compressed with the .xz extension, and so if you're on a very minimal VM or fresh Docker image or something, you might need to apt-get install xzutils. This script also depends on sudo, which is ubiquitous, but again, if you're on a really minimal system, you might have to install it yourself. Okay, the MuKn package manager puts everything in /MuKn. GLOW and its dependencies right now need about 1.5–2 gigabytes of space. If you have a small root partition, you might find this a little tight, and so if you're on Linux, you can use a bind mount to map a different part of your file system into /MuKn. You might think that you could use a symlink, but that doesn't work for reasons that you can Google. Okay, so while this is going, I'm just going to point out a few packages. GLOW itself is written in a dialective scheme called Gerbil, and so there's a bunch of Gerbil packages that we install. We also install Go Ethereum, or Geth, which is a local Ethereum server, and we'll use that for testing. Okay, so this script has finished, and I'm going to let you read this text here, but basically what it's saying is that GLOW is installed successfully, and it just has to munge the path so that it can find it. So I'm going to go ahead and run this suggested blob of shells code, but you could also just restart your terminal. And now if I say which GLOW, it tells me which GLOW executable is found. And if I take a look at what that file actually is, we'll see that it's actually just a symbolic link into the /nix that we were just talking about. All right, so now that we've got glow installed, we can run it. If we run glow with no arguments, this is the same as running it with the help command, and it simply lists the subcommands that it understands. So like a lot of modern command line utilities, glow has a bunch of different modes that it operates in that are invoked by these various commands. So let's take a look at one of them. For instance, we can say glow list applications, and that will show us which dApps glow currently knows about. Right now it knows about the 3 standard demo contracts, and these are located right in the package directory. And as we go on in this course, we'll see how to write our own dApps and extend glow's notion of what dApps it has available. One important note about the help command is that you can ask for help on a specific subcommand, like I can say glow help list applications, and that will tell me what command line arguments it's looking for. And these are sometimes optional, but sometimes required. So it's important, if you're not sure of how to invoke a specific command, you can just ask for the help. Okay, so next we're going to look at a few subcommands that are useful for getting started with glow. And these are the commands related to contacts and identities. And by contacts, we mean the word in the sense of Google contacts. So on your phone, you can have a contact for your friend Bob, and that has maybe 3 or 4 phone numbers and an email address or 2 for Bob. And those different, we call them identities. Those different ways of contacting Bob all belong to the same entity or person that we call Bob. And so we're going to see some glow commands that let you manipulate those contacts and identities. And I'm going to do it from the command line for now. Later in the course, we'll see the glow UI, which runs in a browser and makes these sorts of editing commands a little nicer and a little easier. But I'm going to show you the low-level stuff first. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is look at the networks or blockchains that glow knows about. So the glow list EVM networks command will show us a list of those. And as you can see, these are all Ethereum based right now. We are working on ports to Plutus and some other non-EVM blockchains, but they're not ready to go yet. So the 2 that we're mostly going to use are CED, the Cardano DevNet with EVM emulation, and PET, which is the private Ethereum testnet that is going to run locally with Geth. So these are important right now because when we generate an identity, we're going to need to tell it which network and what the name is that we'd like for a new identity. So we're going to say EVM network CED, and we'll say -- nickname, let's call it C for Cardano. That runs for just a second, and it says, okay, we've added a new identity with this address, and we can get those with glow list identities. Okay, so this tells us that there is an anonymous contact whose contact ID is 1, and an identity under that contact is this address on the CED network, whose nickname is C, and this little key icon tells us that glow controls the private key. And so this is an address that we can, for instance, send transactions from because we can sign them with the key. Okay, so we can also remove identities with glow remove identity, and there's a handful of other such commands that I won't go into right now. And if we want to give our contact a proper name, we can say something like glow add contact -- name, and the usual name here is Alice, but my name is Alex, so I'm going to use Alex. And now if we say glow list contacts, that's the same as list identities, in fact. So now we have this empty contact number 2, and so if we want to add some identities under there, we could say glow generate identity -- CID2, that's contact ID 2, and then we give it the network, EVM network, and let's put these on the PET network. And let's say nickname A for Alex, and let's just add one more for fun, B for, I don't know. And now, if we say glow list contacts, we'll see that we have our anonymous one on CED, and then 2 under Alex on PET. Okay, let's do a little demo of actually interacting with the chain. So we've got these identities, but they don't have any tokens. So let's get them some. On a real network, you usually have to pay for tokens. But on a test network, there's usually a faucet address that can serve as a source of test tokens. So let's use that. Let's say glow faucet --2. Let's fund this C identity here. So we could enter this address directly, or we can use the nickname that we gave it, C. And that's on the CED network. Let's give that a try. So it's requesting one CED, and it has failed to obtain one CED from the glow, from the faucet on the test network. This happens sometimes. We sometimes have trouble connecting to CED. Sometimes it's down. Sometimes it just doesn't work. This was working a few days ago, but not today, apparently. So we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to fund our local addresses using the local test server, and that should go better. So let's fund A, and that also fails. Now, this failure was intentional and under my control. And the reason that it failed was that the connection was refused at localhost port 8545. And the reason that it was refused is that there is no server running there. So the way that I suggest that you run a local Ethereum server is with our script that we distribute with Glow called run Ethereum testnet. And that's a simple wrapper around Geth that starts it up with some arguments that we use. We redirect the output to a log file, and we set up some smart contracts that some of our integration tests use. And we'll be going through that. Okay, so this is started up now, and now if I try the faucet command to the pet network, aha, it succeeds. So the final balance for this account is 5 pet. That's how much it requests by default. And you can see some details of the transaction here, but I'm not going to go into these. Okay, so now instead of funding our B address in the same way, let's actually transfer some of the tokens that we just got from the faucet. So we can do that with glow transfer -- from A, that's the address we just funded, and we'll send them to B, and we'll send to pet, and we're on the pet network. And that takes just a couple of seconds, and there we go. So now we see that the final balance for these two accounts are the 2 pet that we just transferred to B, and this is the 5 pet that we started with from the faucet, minus the 2 pet we transferred, minus 21,000 of a tiny unit worth of gas. And that's what we see here in these last few digits here. And so the total, if you add up the gas and the ending balances, should be 5 pet exactly. Okay, so we've now seen how to do some basic things with Glow, how to create new identities on a blockchain, how to fund them, how to transfer tokens around. I'd like to assign just a little bit of homework now, which is for you to figure out how to import an address and or a public key. So in other words, the glow generate identity command that we've been using so far starts with a private key, a new one, and then derives a public key and an address from that. The homework that I'd like to assign is for you to create a contact for any address on it could be a private or a public network, it doesn't matter, it could be yours, someone else's, and import that into Glow. For bonus points, you can import the public key as well. So far we've just covered installation using our curl one-liner, but I'd like to just briefly cover installation with Docker should you choose to use that. So if you'd like to use Docker, you can say docker pull moon/glow latest, and I've done this recently so the pull is going to be very fast, but it'll take a few minutes if you don't already have it cached. And then we can say docker run -it moon/glow latest, and that'll drop us into a shell where we have Glow available. And this is the same version that we had from the curl script. We keep the Docker image and the released version on Nix synchronized. So this is Glow version 0.3.1. I personally find working with Glow and other such tools not great in a Docker image. And the main reason is that you have to set up a volume mount in order to get persistent storage. But if you're comfortable with that and you prefer to run with Docker, the advantage of this installation procedure is that it doesn't really install anything. It just uses a Docker container. And if you can set up your own storage for the dapps and the configuration and the context database and so on, and there's instructions for that in the install file, then you're welcome to use this installation procedure as well. All right, so to recap, you can install Glow with one command. You can choose whether to use this curl command or the Docker image. If you use curl, this will install Glow under /nix, where you'll need about 1.5 gigabytes of space free. Once the installation is complete, you can run Glow help and the other Glow commands. We've seen some commands to manage contacts and identities, and those are just for us as humans to help our interactions with Glow. Glow internally only cares about addresses and keys if it has them, and which network it's running on. If you have any questions, if this installation does not go smoothly for you, please let us know. Please contact us on Discord. We'll be using the Glow MOOC channel for our day-to-day discussions. That's a perfect place to ask. Or you can always DM me. My handle is @AFP. All right, thanks very much for watching, and we hope you have a smooth Glow installation. We'll see you for Module 2, where we'll dig into the language itself and actually running some dapps. Bye!